Hello everybody, welcome to my first video of 2020 where I want to explore partial die cutting using the Gemini machine, which I recently got given for my birthday. So I'm very fortunate to have it, and I want to see how versatile it is because I do like to maximize my dies. So here's the machine, and what I'm going to do is, having researched online and on YouTube and discovered there are no reviews or tutorials on how you can do partial die cutting with this machine and card stacks, I thought I'd make a video of my own. So I'm starting off using an intricate die of a scene which is basically designed for Christmas, but which I have used at various times all through the year because I take little bits out of it using card stacks, and it's a very versatile way to use expensive dies. The card stacks I make out of old birthday cards, and I've got them cut to all different shapes and sizes. These ones that I had in my stash and which are going to work very well for this demonstration. So in the first instance, choose whichever die you like and whatever project you want. I just want a little patch at the bottom of it of trees and fence, and I do not want to cut the bottom either, which is why I can't use simple partial die cutting with cutting plates. This is an Amy Designs Wintertide die, and it is a lovely intricate die, and I use it quite a lot, and that's the area that I just want to cut out. So to do it, I've got my base plate. I am then going to add a paper shim just to stop any marks from the cutting plate coming through onto my cardstock, and then I'm laying my cardstock on top. Now, this is a demonstration, so therefore it doesn't matter desperately where I place my die, but I'm going to place it on the sheet and facing down. And that is the area that I want to be die cutting. And so the first thing I'm going to need to do is just fix that die in place using low tack tape. So I've just got some strips which I'm going to use and stick the die in place so it doesn't move when it's going through the rollers. So once I've done that, then I need to think about my card stacks, and as I say, I generally do them in 2s or 3s or singles, and I think that's a stack of 3, which I'm just going to position over the top quite carefully, avoiding the bottom, which is important because I don't want that to cut. So I'm just bringing it back a little bit, and then I'm going to use low tack tape to stick that in place. Now, 3 cards I know is not going to be enough to get it successfully through any cutting machine, but I'm just, once they're in position, I can put more on top. So I've added another 3 cards to the stack. So in total, I'm working for this particular project with 6 cards. And once they're aligned, then I can take my top cutting plate of the Gemini and I can put that over the top of the card stacks. Once I'm happy that that is in place, then it's just a question of picking them up and inserting them into the Gemini machine, keeping a steady hand until it's caught, and then it'll just roll straight through. And if you haven't got enough, you can add afterwards. And the only way to check is to actually, before you undo all your low tack tape, is to see if it's cut. And the guess of 6 cards was worked, and as you can see, I've got a little tree, a bush, and a fence that's cut out. Now I want to actually add to this picture with another die. So once I've taken everything off, then I'm going to line it up again on the cutting plate and bring in the second die that I want to use to complete that little scene. So the next thing that I want to do is to bring in a little tree at the end, and I'm using this lovely Tim Holtz tree line die, which I've used in many projects, and I just want that one tree. Could be in the middle, but I'm using the one at the end. It's nice and easy, but with partial die cutting you could actually use anywhere you wanted to in a die. I'm lining it up alongside my existing cutout scene, and I'm going to just stick it in place once I'm happy with the low tack tape once again. The Gemini is lovely because of course the big plates give you plenty of space to put things out, and it is lovely to be able to play without the restrictions of which way round your card should go. I'm now taking the card stack, and actually the ones I used before fit here too, but of course you could use any size shape that you've got for your particular project. And again, I'm stacking 3, and then because 6 worked before, I'm going to do the same again. There is of course no guarantee that that is going to be right for the next die that you use, because each die is a different thickness and each card that you use is different yet again. But by trial and error you can find what works, and the Gemini is pretty forgiving. If there are too many it won't go through, and if there are not enough you can just add an extra card or 2 to make it work. And then I am just waiting till it grips, and it's just sliding through the machine once again, and I'll see whether it has cut or not. Once I'm happy, then I just take it out the other end, and I am just going to take off the top plate, and before releasing the low tack tape, check to see if it has cut. And the fact that the shim is stuck to it is a good sign that it has cut through, and actually it's made a very nice, clean and precise cut. To finish this scene, I'm going to be using some simple partial die cutting using the plates, and to see how that works with the Gemini. And I've got a circle die which I'm positioning carefully over my partially die cut out scene, and I will stick that in place so that it doesn't slide about, and I will be able to, once the circle is cut out, remove the excess paper around my cut-out scene. And I've got the Gemini in reverse here. I've got the clear blotting plate at the bottom, I've got the shim and then the cardstock and then the die facing down. And now I'm going to take my magnetic shim and place it on top of that die, so that the bit that it's pressing on will be the part that cuts, and the bit sticking out that you can see is the bit that hopefully won't cut at all. I'm then going to put the plastic shim on the top, and then I will take the top plate of the Gemini and position it to match the other two, so that all that pressure will be over the top half of the circular die and none on the bottom. I've then got to pick up those plates and feed them through the machine. And that I found slightly awkward, not just because my hands are weak, but the plates are very big, and with them being offset like that, it's hard to keep them in the exact position that you want. So I find it already a little bit more of a struggle than I do with using card stacks, which worked so well. But I'm being very careful and gentle, and I'm just holding those plates in position until I feel that Gemini machine grip, at which point I can let go and hope that the partial die cutting has been a success, which I will find out in just a few seconds when it's passed through. So now that it's gone through the machine, I'm going to take the shims off the top, and before removing that low tack tape I can once again see if it has worked or not. And it looks to me as if it has, and if I turn it over you can see that it has cut out quite nicely, although it slid a little bit and didn't cut precisely where I wanted it to go. But overall I think we can count that as a reasonable success. So it's been good to try out the different things, and this scene is absolutely lovely and can work for many projects that you have. And the Gemini does do card stacks absolutely beautifully, and I will happily use it. Probably does it better than in the Big Shot because of the versatility of the big plates. But I'm not so sure about the simple partial die cutting because those plates move around and slide, and it's going to be hard to keep them still to feed them in. Doesn't mean you can't use them, and it may just be that I need to do a bit more practice to make it work. But overall I can say the Gemini machine is excellent for card stack partial die cutting, and it's going to be a very versatile tool, and I would recommend that its use for this particular extension of using all your dies.